Mario Kart World is finally here, and I have a ton of thoughts about this game. As you can tell from the title of this video, I have mixed feelings about Mario Kart World, and as you can tell from the length of this video, this one's gonna be a yap fest. So before we get into it, I figured it's only fair to sum up my opinions at the start. Obviously, I'm gonna be going way into depth on the things that actually make me feel this way about the game, but as of right now, again, I've played a lot of the game, but this is still relatively early impressions. This isn't like a full review by any means, but I have been playing the game pretty much non-stop since it dropped. In my opinion, Mario Kart World is a good game, a great game even. I would not be surprised if many of you in the comments are saying this will probably be your favorite Mario Kart game of all time. Mario Kart World is a great game that Nintendo forces you to play their way. It seems like Nintendo has a relatively strict and narrow idea of what Mario Kart World is and how it's supposed to play, and they do not give you many options at all to try to play the game how you might want to play it. Because of that, ironically, the open world Mario Kart game, funnily enough, doesn't have nearly as much player freedom as I was personally hoping for. I know that sounds doomer and pessimistic, but I mean, trust me, I'm going to be explaining my full thoughts in this video. But to reiterate, as I just said, this is a great game. I have been having a blast playing through everything so far. But the way this video is gonna work is I'm gonna be going through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now let's break that down. The good is just, well, the good stuff. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm not gonna be going over everything good because this would be a 7-hour video, but I want to talk about the stuff that specifically stands out to me. The good stuff that either surprised me on just how fun it was, or things that I'm super excited to learn even more in depth for the next 8 or so years, or however long this is the new modern Mario Kart. Then we got the bad stuff. These are the annoying things or stuff that I really think should be in the game that just isn't for some reason or another. As for the ugly, these are the straight up unacceptable decisions that Nintendo made that are by far my biggest gripes with the game. Like, the bad stuff is like, okay, that's kind of annoying. The ugly stuff I'm gonna talk about in this video, in my opinion, is just straight up unacceptable in a game that they're charging $80 for. I'm gonna alternate between the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I'm also gonna point out anything specifically in the bad and ugly sections that can, or in some cases probably will, be fixed through free updates or patches. With that out of the way, let's just jump right into it though. Let's start off with something good. And well, this is the most important thing to be good. If this was bad, then I would be singing a whole different tune about this game. However, the most important thing about any video game is, well, the gameplay. And yeah, the gameplay of Mario Kart World, how it feels to play, is just phenomenal. Specifically, the new mechanics added of rail grinding, wall riding, and the charge jump just open up so many interesting opportunities, whether it's for saving time, maneuvering around the world in free roam, shortcuts. I mean, the time trials of this game, like day one, the time trials are already blowing my mind. Some of this stuff is so cool. If you look at like the Great Question Block Ruins time trial, specifically this section right here, like, this is sick. He's tricking off this ring that most people will never collide with ever, and then riding on the side of the cloud platform for like half a second. There are so many cool techs like this, and I'm just honestly super excited that the new Mario Kart game that, again, we're gonna be playing for a while. I've been playing Mario Kart 8 for over 10 years now without a new entry, so hopefully it's not that long for this time, but I mean, we're stuck with World for a while, so I'm really glad that the game we're stuck with has such interesting mechanics, gameplay, and just feels fun to race as. To be honest, some mechanics, specifically wall riding, to me feel a little bit janky. Like, there will be times where I smack into a wall thinking, okay, yeah, 100% I'm going to wall ride here, and then I just smack into the wall and it doesn't wall ride. And then there will be other times where I'm like not all the way touching the wall, but then Mario will just like magnet and start wall riding, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm on the wall now. However, I'm just gonna chalk that up to a skill issue because, again, the game is super duper new, and I'm not nearly as good at this game as I am in like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so it definitely just feels a little bit weird at points because I'm used to one thing for the last like 10 or so years, and now I'm playing something else. That's not a bad thing though. The overall gameplay, like the way the game feels when you're driving around, jumping onto different rails, riding on the walls, it all does genuinely feel really good. Like, again, the wall riding, a little bit weird at points, but I think that's just a skill issue. Next, let's move on to the first bad thing, and we're talking about the tracks. Now, I want to make it clear, the tracks themselves aren't bad. In fact, some of them are great, like some of the best in the series. However, because this game is Mario Kart World and all the tracks have to fit naturally into this big open world, the variety between the tracks does genuinely feel a bit watered down since, again, they all have to fit together in a cohesive open world. I do still think Nintendo was able to squeeze a lot of variety out of these tracks, and I'm really grateful that they were able to do that. We'll also obviously have to see if new tracks get added, whether it's through like free updates or if they do paid DLC expansions. This complaint could change a little bit then. However, as of right now, it does genuinely feel like a lot of the theming of of the tracks aren't as unique as other Mario Kart games you'd get off rip. Like, let's take a look at Mario Kart 8. I'm not talking about the Booster Course Pass or the DLC that Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U got. I'm just talking about the base game. Already, because all the tracks don't have to fit together, there are a lot more unique themes we got here. Stuff like Electrodrome, or going back even further, a Waluigi's Pinball or a Ribbon Road. We can't really get that in Mario Kart World, because they wouldn't make sense, again, in the open world. This isn't a big complaint because, again, the tracks are really fun, but just from a theming and variety perspective, they're not as unique as we've seen in Mario Kart games from the past. Moving on to the first ugly point, I'm sorry, I gotta talk about this right away. It is absolutely diabolical that you cannot turn off the intermissions in this game. As I just said, the tracks by and large are incredible. There are some banger tracks here, but you are not going to get to play them as God intended 3 laps in a row. I'm sorry, maybe I'm a Mario Kart purist, but if I'm playing a Mario Kart track, I want to do 3 laps on it, or maybe, I don't know, like 5 or 7 if it's something like Baby Park or whatever, but I want to do multiple laps because that way I can get better as the track moves on, you know, learn different shortcuts, find what works and what doesn't throughout one race. And also, there are just tracks where you need to have multiple laps because maybe there will be a shortcut that opens up at the end, and the shortcut or alternate path will put you right out past the lap marker for maybe the second lap. But if there's only 1 lap, then that doesn't really do anything here. It is absolutely ludicrous that you cannot just play these courses with 3 laps. Oh, but you can't. I already hear you commenting this. Let's just break it down. Let's get real for a second. In Grand Prix, there's no way to turn them off, so that's already 1 strike against it. Versus mode, yes, you can go in and then manually select every single course to be 3 laps, but that's kind of annoying. I don't really want to have to do that every time, although albeit that's a small nitpick. What's most ludicrous though is the online. When playing online lobbies, you're almost always going to get an intermission. The way it works is you join a lobby and you'll start off at one particular course, and then you pick another course, and whatever course the lobby selects, you then drive to that course and get 1 lap on it. That means most of your racing online is going to be on intermissions and not the actual courses themselves. I understand the concept of intermissions in this game. Really, I do. It's Mario Kart World. They want you to explore the world and not just stay on the tracks themselves. I get it. But to force everyone to go through the intermissions is insane, especially considering, again, that's most of what you're going to be racing. The first 2 laps are generally an intermission, and then the final lap is 1 lap on an actual course. We're mainly just driving on highways here. Some of the intermissions are actually really fun. So far, I'd say about 50% of the laps I've raced that aren't actual courses that are the intermissions, they're actually really good. However, you know what has a much higher success rate than 50%? All of the courses. Again, I understand the idea that, okay, they really want us to try these intermissions. They don't want it to just be a side mode. They want this to be a main part of the game. Again, I get it. But not even just giving people an option to go, okay, I just want to race, you know, your standard Mario Kart race 3 laps on the same course. That's not even an option if you're playing online lobbies. The only way to do that is versus mode or an online lobby with friends. You can't do that in normal online lobbies. That's ridiculous. Especially considering these tracks are really fun. I want to make the most of playing on these tracks, but it's really hard to do that when we get 1 lap and then it's over. Especially because for a lot of these tracks, their strength comes within their different layouts, as in there are so many different paths, shortcuts, alternate routes you can take, but that doesn't matter if you only get 1 go at it. This is what I was talking about with the intro, where Nintendo wants us to play this game their way. This is not a traditional Mario Kart game. I understand that, but the fact that we're lacking the option to race courses in a more traditional way is a little ridiculous. Never mind, it's more than a little ridiculous. It's insane, especially considering this is an $80 game. It's inexcusable, and by far and away my biggest gripe with this title right now. I genuinely believe Mario Kart World would be a 10 times better game if they just gave us the option, which they already do. It's already coded into the game. We can do it in versus mode, but if they gave us the option of doing a normal Grand Prix or doing a normal online lobby where you race the 3 laps, maybe you even still have to do the intermissions to get to the 3 laps. I'd be fine with that. But booting up an online lobby and picking a course that you're really excited to play only for 2/3 of that playtime to be spent not on that course but driving to the course, again, I think it's straight up inexcusable. Moving back to the good though, I gotta talk about free roam. I have my problems with this mode, I'll talk about it soon enough, but there is so much to love here. From the clean start of free mode where you just press plus and then it like zooms you straight in, I love that. I think that's so slick. To the countless interesting structures and P-switch missions scattered throughout the world, free roam is about 95% of everything I'd want in a Mario Kart open world. It is so fun, and it blows my mind that this is even something we're playing. Like, it's an open world Mario Kart game. It's super dope. A decent amount of my playtime already has just been spent aimlessly driving around free roam, looking for little Easter eggs or secrets or P-switch missions, or just driving around aimlessly, not a care in the world, just kind of vibing out. Again, the core mechanics of this game are so fun, and the world itself is so well designed that even though, I'll get to this later, I do wish there was slightly more stuff to do within free roam, it doesn't really need it because it's fun enough to just kind of mess around in this awesome, beautifully designed open world. Moving back to the bad, I want to talk about the costumes here. If I'm being honest, the costumes seem random and kind of a little lazy. First, let's talk about the actual costumes themselves. There are some bangers in here for sure, but there are a lot of costumes where it's like, okay, I don't really think anyone's gonna actually use this. Like, sure, if you happen to get it from the Yoshi's item, obviously you'll be using it. But there are some costumes in this game where it's like, no one is selecting this from the menu. I just don't see it happening. There's also so much potential for costumes here. Games like Mario Kart Tour, Mario Odyssey, hell, most of the Mario franchise, like you can pull so much because pretty much all the characters that can actually get costumes have a decent amount of history. There's so much they could pull here, but instead it just feels like a lot of the costumes are kind of random and just like, all right, sure, yeah, that's a costume. Even beyond that though, what truly comes across as lazy is just the amount of costumes and who exactly gets them. I can understand the NPC characters not getting costumes. They definitely could have costumes. Like, I'm not gonna, bail out Nintendo and say, oh, it's impossible for them to give Cow a costume. That's not true. Cow definitely could have had a costume, but it is what it is. What I'm more so saying is for the main characters, like, why do they not all have an even amount of costumes? Beyond that, why does like Donkey Kong and Pauline, they only have one costume each? That's absurd. Both of those characters have so much opportunity for other costumes that it just kind of comes across as a little lazy, that like they're just deciding, okay, these characters are gonna get a bunch of costumes, these characters they only get one, despite the fact that like even just in Mario Kart Tour, Pauline had like 4 costumes that weren't even used in this game. Again, this could be something that's rectified through updates. However, that doesn't give Nintendo a free pass. Again, they're charging $80 for this game. They've been in development apparently for 8 years. If they're gonna place such a heavy emphasis on the Yoshi's food item, I mean, they're everywhere. They're like all over the open world. So they're placing a heavy emphasis on the Yoshi's food item and costumes themselves, but then certain characters, like again, Pauline and Donkey Kong only have one alternate costume each. Like, what is that? That just doesn't make any sense to me. It comes across as lazy. All right, let's move on to another ugly point. By the way, spoilers if you're trying not to see the new Rainbow Road. But yeah, I'm about to talk about Rainbow Road in a second once I get back to the good, because I really do enjoy this Rainbow Road. In fact, I think it's a banger. However, I cannot describe to you how disappointed I was to beat the Special Cup, watch the credits, load back into the game, boot up free roam, go to where Rainbow Road should be on the map, and then it's just not there. As far as I know, there is no way to free roam around Rainbow Road, which in my opinion is again straight up unacceptable. The entire premise of this game is that it's an open world and you can drive wherever you want, it's free roam, all that. So to have the biggest and in my opinion probably best track in the game, Rainbow Road, not accessible through free roam, what are we doing? I understand Rainbow Road is very segmented. There's like a bunch of different sections that you have to glide between, so it wouldn't be as open as the open world itself, but like, come on, specifically this section here, I think it's the 3rd lap, this looks like it could be free roamable. I could see P-switches, coins, and question mark panels, all that. I could see that all in here. Like, why are we not allowed to just drive around this? Once again, it genuinely does just kind of feel like Nintendo got a little lazy here, which I'm not giving them a pass for at all, because again, it is an $80 game, and this is the main gimmick of said game, the open world. I was so disappointed to realize that you cannot use free roam with Rainbow Road. I don't even think this is something they'd like add in a patch. I really hope they do, but like this just seems like they're like, okay, yeah, no, you don't get to free roam Rainbow Road, sorry. Which, like, come on, man. Specifically this Rainbow Road too, it's so big it's like asking for it. But once again, Nintendo wants you to play this game their way, and they decided that this Rainbow Road is not worth driving around in free roam, which is a damn shame. However, now let's move back to the good. I feel like very bipolar, doing like the good, the bad, the ugly, then back to the good. But we're still talking about Rainbow Road here, and I think it's really good. Even though you can't drive around it in free roam, which is ridiculous. It doesn't even make sense. But the Rainbow Road course itself, it's a banger. For starters, the course looks absolutely beautiful, and it sounds really good too. I really like this remix of Rainbow Road. Not only that though, but I think the layout does genuinely strike a really good balance of that patented Rainbow Road difficulty, while also still making this course very fair for a 24 racer version of Mario Kart. This is not the hardest Rainbow Road in the series, far from it. Especially if you're just going through on time trial, I dare say it's pretty easy. However, when playing in an intense 24 racer game, it does get incredibly hectic, and it still maintains that feel of Rainbow Road. It feels like the grand finale of this game. It feels like Nintendo's track designers are taking a victory lap, and also it kind of like references a bunch of past Rainbow Roads, like the Mario Kart 8 Rainbow Road with the space station part. So yeah, overall, I had incredibly high expectations for Mario Kart World's Rainbow Road, and in every single possible way they surpassed it, except again, we cannot explore it in free roam, which is a big problem in my opinion. I think that's just ridiculous. I'm sorry to keep harping on it, but like, I was so disappointed, man. I was like, yes, I finally get to drive around. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Like, did you guys think you would be able to explore this in free roam? As soon as I got to this lap here, I was like, oh, 100% this is in free roam. It's a massive open area. That's like not what Rainbow Road is known for. But I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, it's definitely because we can go in free roam. And then we just couldn't. And I was like, ah, what a bummer. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this video and want to see a lot more Mario Kart World coverage, hitting the subscribe button would mean a lot. It would help us get to our goal of 300,000 subscribers and help ensure that you get to see the great videos we're going to be putting out all about this game, you know, for, well, forever. From now on, the game's out, so we're going to keep making videos about it. Thank you guys. Let's get back to it. Next, let's move back onto the bad, and we got to go back to free roam. I don't want to talk about the P-switches here because I'm going to talk about those later. In general, I think the P-switch missions are dope. However, I want to talk about the other two collectibles, those being the Peach coins and question mark panels, because in my opinion, I just think these are kind of dumb. Now, let me clarify that. I'm glad these are here. Adding in more things to do in free roam can only be described as a win for the players. Not only that, but some of these question mark panels and Peach coins are placed in really interesting places. Obviously, they don't spawn challenges like the P-switches themselves, but for some of these, the challenge is actually getting to them in the first place. However, it blows my mind that there are 3 different types of like collectibles you can get in free roam, and 2 of them, being the Peach coins and the question mark panels, are just functionally the exact same thing. I understand Peach coins can be placed like in the air, and then question mark panels have to be either on a wall or on the ground, but don't kid yourself, they're the exact same thing. You drive over them and are rewarded with a sticker. Specifically, the Peach medallions blow my mind because these look like coins that you would be able to use at some sort of shop, but instead they're used for the exact same thing as the other 2 collectibles, being the P-switch missions and the question mark panels. Sick, dude. Again, I'm glad these things are here, but they definitely feel a little lackluster, considering functionally they're the exact same thing. Like, every question mark panel in this game realistically should have just been a Peach medallion. Like, you just place a Peach medallion up on the wall or have it hovering on the ground. Either make them the same collectible or make them do different things. As of right now, it's just weird. Not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things though. However, this next ugly point definitely is. Once again, I'm going back to talking about the online, and this once again is kind of the intermission's fault. I hate to keep harping on the intermissions because that's kind of like the big new thing of Mario Kart World is driving from course to course, but in my opinion, they're just not handled well, and a great example of that is with the online. Because almost every single race you get online is going to be an intermission from one track to another, the variety of courses you can get in one online lobby feels incredibly stunted as a result. The first 30 minutes I played online, the lobby never left the bottom left corner of the map. We didn't leave this area right here. I'll highlight it on screen. It was ridiculous. I thought I was going insane. We started off going from Mario Bros. Circuit, doing an intermission, and then going to Whistle Stop Summit. Won that race, by the way. Then we chill in the lobby, and the next race gets picked. Okay, we're going to Choco Mountain. Once again, we do the intermission, go up to Choco Mountain. I did not place nearly as well in this one. But then we go to Wario Stadium. After that, we went to Crown City. And before you know it, I'd been playing for half an hour and never left the bottom left corner of the map. I pretty much always vote random whenever I play Mario Kart, so I guess theoretically, if it had picked my random, we could have gone somewhere else. But most of the time, people are not voting random. They're picking one of the big 3 options that's put right in front of them. Because of that, as far as I've seen, lobbies tend to stay in very localized parts of the map, which is just not good for variety in my opinion. Jumping back to the good, this is pretty much self-explanatory, but I just gotta say, the music in this game is phenomenal. In fact, I'm gonna actually combine 2 good points here together. I wanna just talk about the overall presentation. That's the graphics and the music. We'll get to the music in a second, but from a visual perspective, this game is top-notch. Not only is that thanks to the Switch 2's power, but also just the art direction here is phenomenal. All the little animations, the effects that pop up when you get hit by an item, the tracks themselves, the backgrounds, the vistas. I mean, this game just looks really really, really good, especially if you're playing in handheld mode. That new Switch 2 screen, it just looks phenomenal. Before this game released, I saw a bunch of people saying in my comments that it didn't look that much better than Mario Kart 8, and in my opinion, I mean, that's already a pretty high bar. Mario Kart 8 is, in my opinion, one of the best, probably no, it's the best looking game Nintendo's ever made. There, I said it. However, because Mario Kart 8 had like tracks that were individual, it was a lot easier for that game to look so good because the developers could do stuff like make everything in the background like 2D. What I'm trying to say is it was a lot more of a controlled experience, so the developers were able to take shortcuts, and that's why that game looks so good. This game looks better than Mario Kart 8, and it's not a controlled experience. You can drive wherever. Obviously, there are still tricks the developers use, like pop in and lower quality models off in the distance, but like overall, this game just looks stunning. The fact that it's able to look this good while also being an open world game, it's truly a sight to behold. You get it? See what I did there? Staying on the same tune though, let's talk about the music. Okay, I gotta stop. The music in this game is utterly phenomenal. I mean, that just is a given with any new Mario Kart game. The quality is always gonna be banging, but what I want to talk about here though is the quantity. Between the intermissions and free roam, there are so many incredible remixes that just bring a smile to my face every single time I hear them. It's so cool to hear songs from like other Mario games that aren't Mario Kart, like Mario Odyssey, Mario Galaxy, New Super Mario Bros. It's so sick to hear those songs in the Mario Kart style, and there's such a great variety to the soundtrack too. I heard some like EDM house rave baby park version while I was driving around in free roam. I was like, what is going on here? Then you got like more chill remixes of tracks. There are so many different songs here. I feel like I'm hearing a new banger every single time I boot up the game. It's so cool. I love the soundtrack. However, that takes us into a bad point, and this also has to do with the soundtrack. Stick with me now though. It's annoying that there's no radio in this game, yes for sure. That's something I talked about wanting, like the ability to choose which song you want to listen to while you're driving around in free roam. That would be so nice. Or even just having an in-game music player like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe got at the end of its life cycle. However, what is 10 times more annoying than that is the fact that it doesn't even tell you which song is playing. All it would take is for like a little text box to pop up in the corner that says what the song is and what game it's originally from if it's a remix. That's all I'm asking for here, and with over 200 songs confirmed to be in this soundtrack, it seems like telling people what song they're hearing would be a no-brainer. But obviously it was a brainer. What? That's not even something people say. It wasn't something they did is what I mean. They didn't do that, which is a complete bummer because sometimes I'll hear a song and I'm like, oh, I think I know what this is from, but I'm not exactly sure. And damn it, man, this is like pretty much my job to know about like Mario stuff. I'm sure there will be people in the comments being like, oh, how do you not know every song, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm trying to say is if I'm driving around in free roam and a song comes up and I'm not entirely sure what song that is, then the vast majority of people playing this game, which again, it's Mario Kart, it's a casual game, the vast majority of people will not know the song at all. I think that's dumb. It would be a pretty easy thing for Nintendo to add in, so yeah, that's one of the bad points I want to bring up. Next, let's move back into the ugly section. Once again, this is the stuff that is straight up unacceptable, and I'm just gonna be honest. It is beyond unacceptable that there is no 200cc in this game at launch. I feel like I don't even really need to explain myself here. All the cool shortcut tech you can do with jumping from walls and getting on the grinding rails, the wide open tracks made to fit 24 racers. Like, if any Mario Kart game was asking for 200cc, it's this game. This is the one that would benefit the most from it. 200cc should just straight up be a standard inclusion for every Mario Kart game going forward. I honestly thought it was. It's shocking to see it omitted from this title. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets added in as a free update later on, but the fact that it's not here off rip is absurd. Probably the most mind-boggling missing feature from this entire game. Next, let's move back up to the good. I want to talk about something that's not just good, it's great. In fact, I think it's the best new addition to Mario Kart World, and that is Knockout Tour. Knockout Tour is exhilarating. It is so much fun. It's basically a 10-minute Mario Kart race that keeps up the intensity of a final lap throughout its entire runtime. The looming threat of elimination makes Knockout Tour so intense. And again, this is an early impressions video. This is not my full review, so I'm not like committing to anything yet, but I would not be surprised if I end up playing more Knockout Tour than like normal online races, especially since again, all the online races you're gonna play are almost always intermission races. If you're gonna be racing them damn intermissions and not racing 3 laps on an actual track, I'd rather just make it a Knockout Tour. At least that way it's constantly engaging. I was excited for Knockout Tour, sure, but I don't think I fully grasped just how fun it was. It's my favorite new addition to Mario Kart World, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is like the main way I play the game moving forward. Next, moving back to the bad, I want to talk about unlocking stuff. You can unlock new characters by beating Grand Prix, yeah, that's fine, but the new NPC characters are tied to the Kamek item where you randomly unlock a new NPC, and the new costumes are tied to the Yoshi's food item, which isn't technically random, but kind of feels like it, unless I guess you just pick a character and then drive to all the places where you can get a new costume for them, but like that's not fun. You also unlock vehicles by just getting coins. All of these are fine, but in my opinion, nothing really stands out as super great. Being able to buy certain vehicles with the Peach medallions you collect, for an example, would be 10 times more engaging than any of the current methods of unlocking content. I like that you have to unlock stuff, and I even like that you have to play every character to unlock every costume. It incentivizes people trying out new characters. I just think overall, if you look at every single unlock condition in this game, it's kind of a missed opportunity. They definitely could have been more creative with this, but once you unlock one thing, you know how to unlock everything. Once you get one vehicle, you know how to unlock the rest. Once you unlock one costume, you know how to unlock the rest. As far as I know, I guess I should make that clear. If there's any like crazy 100% completion thing, I definitely haven't reached it yet, and I don't really think anyone has because I haven't seen anything about that. So I'm just operating under the assumption that doesn't exist. I'll correct myself in the pinned comment though if something does get discovered. But yeah, I just think unlocking stuff is kind of boring in this game. Like, I understand why they did it the way they did it, but I definitely think it could have been a bit more interesting. Next, let's move on right back to the ugly. Once again, a glaring problem with, again, the online. Nintendo really dropped the ball with the online in this game, in my opinion. There is no sort of tournament setup in Mario Kart World, which is so dumb because they had a really good tournament setup in Mario Kart 8. Straight up copy over all the settings from Mario Kart 8, and it would have been perfectly fine. Everyone would have been happy. Instead, they just didn't do that, and so now there are no tournaments in this game. Cool, thanks Nintendo. Playing in random tournaments in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was some of my most fun I had with that game, and it's just a bummer to see that not here, especially because it already existed in the past Mario Kart game. That's why I put this in the ugly section. It's just straight up unacceptable because we're going backwards at this point. It's ridiculous to wait 10 years for a new game that they price at $80, and then it's missing a very core and vital feature that was included in the past games. Again, this could get added in as an update, which I keep stressing because I know there are going to be people in the comments, even though I've mentioned that so many times, being like, oh, most of this stuff will be added in as updates, you're just nitpicking, be patient. It's like, brother, they were developing this game for 8 years. Even if it does get added in as an update, that doesn't excuse Nintendo for not including it at launch. This should be in the game. Moving back up to the good though, I want to talk finally about the P-Switch missions, baby. I think the P-Switch missions are dope. I think they are so cool. Sure, a lot of them are just, oh, collect the 8 blue coins, or oh, go through the rings. There are plenty of P-Switch missions that aren't like that, but a lot of them are. However, for the most part, every P-Switch mission I've played avoids feeling like a copy-paste Ubisoft level open world mission, because Nintendo did here what they do best. The level design is just top-notch. The P-Switch missions I've managed to play so far have been super engaging, and a couple of them have been quite difficult. There are some like special P-Switch missions that are quite damn hard, and took me like 5 to 10 times just going at it over and over and over again, failing and failing and failing. I like that. I want something to work towards. I don't want to just steamroll all the content in this game. So the P-Switch missions have really been a great pleasant surprise. Like, we knew these were in here, but I'm consistently getting blown away by not only how creative they are, how well designed they are, how varied they are, but also in some cases how difficult and challenging they are, because in my opinion, that's a good thing. Sticking with free roam, let's move on to the bad. There is no multiplayer free roam. Split screen free roam just doesn't exist at all. So if you wanted to, play local multiplayer free roam, you just can't do it. Sorry. You can theoretically do it online. It's not really like its own mode. You kind of just have to make your own lobby, then your friends can join that, and then you just don't start an actual race and you can kind of just play free roam that way. However, I don't think the P switches are active in that mode, so it's kind of just like, all right, you can just mess around. You can like create your own races and, race on a highway or something. Me and a bunch of the other Switch Stop guys raced across the entire world, and that was pretty fun, although the lack of any sort of compass on the minimap really did not help. That was basically more checking the map than actually racing, but whatever. However, just the idea of free roam itself being played in a multiplayer setting, you can either do it in a gimped setting online with no P-switches, or you just can't do it at all if you're trying to do it locally. And I think that really stinks, because free roam is, for, as much as I've kind of talked about how it could be improved in this video, free roam is really fun. It It would be that much more fun though if I could experience that with a friend. Sticking with free roam, let's get to the next ugly point, and that is that there is no P-switch tracker. I just glazed the P-switch missions a couple minutes ago. I talked about how fun they are and how much I enjoy them. However, if there's a specific P-switch mission I really liked that I might want to go back and retry, well, good luck. Not only is there no way to see where your completed P-switch missions are on the map, or even know which ones you have completed, but there's also no way to know which ones you haven't completed. In the sense that, like, once you get towards the end and you've almost completed every P-switch, you're just gonna have to drive around for hours until you happen to find the, couple of P-switches you haven't yet done. Nintendo probably didn't include this sort of P-switch tracker because they don't really want people to 100% this game. Obviously people will, but free roam isn't made to get 100% it. It's made to just kind of drive around. So I guess adding in like a P-switch tracker would kind of counteract that, but it's ridiculous that you can't at least look at the P-switches you've already completed and see where they were on the map. This is particularly annoying too because by being able to see which P-switch missions you've already done on the map, you'd then be able to extrapolate where the likely P-switch missions you haven't done are. But again, that's just not here. Like, imagine if Breath of the Wild's map didn't show you where the shrines were. You could go through and complete them, but then once you completed them, they just didn't show up on the map at all. That would be dumb. That's pretty much what this is. It's dumb. There should be some sort of P-switch tracker or catalog in this game, but it just doesn't exist. All right, the last good thing I want to talk about in Mario Kart World is pretty simple. It's the carts, or more specifically, the vehicles, because the vehicles on display here are so interesting. I think when it's all said and done, Mario Kart World will go down in Mario Kart history as having the best selection of vehicles in the entire franchise. Not only do the vehicles actually feel different from each other, which is super nice, but just from a visual design perspective, they're so creative and they're so unique. I love the variety on display here, and also the names are hilarious. Lil Dumpy, Rob Hog. Yeah, everything about the vehicles I'm absolutely in love with. It genuinely makes unlocking the new vehicles super exciting. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, when you're first starting off that game and unlocking new vehicles, it's like, all right, that's neat. In this game, I'm actively looking forward to unlocking new vehicles because I'm just getting blown away every time on how creative and interesting the designs are. Gotta give the team props because these are just really, really good. Next, moving on to the last bad point, I gotta talk about not the vehicle selection screen, but the character selection screen. This thing is all over the place. From a layout perspective, it doesn't really make sense at all. I don't know if it's just me, it feels kind of unintuitive, like things are placed in odd places. The fact that there are multiple pages at all is really annoying because you just straight up cannot see every character. But more importantly, the fact that the costumes aren't grouped under the character makes no sense. Especially considering the costume you pick at the start, for the most part, doesn't really actually matter because it's going to be changing throughout the race. Now, you can actually turn that off in the game settings. You can make it so that the Yoshi food doesn't actually change your costume, but I'm assuming most people don't have that turned on. So for the vast majority of racers, you're not actually picking a costume. I guess you're picking the costume you start with, but in reality, you're picking your character because the costume will change throughout the course of the race. Because of that, it now makes even less sense to have the costumes taking up their own roster slot on the roster, instead of just doing what Mario Kart 8 already did, which is hiding the costumes behind the actual character, so you pick the character and then pick the costume. Not only would it make this already incredibly cluttered menu just less busy, but I think it also just makes more sense from a gameplay perspective, because again, for most people, the costumes are going to change anyway, so why do they take up their own slots? It doesn't make sense. The last ugly, unforgivable, unacceptable, inconceivable, diabolical, heinous, downright disrespect. Okay, I'll stop. The last thing in the ugly section is the battle mode. Yep, that's right. I'm just placing the entire battle mode in the ugly section. It pains me to do this, but I am not surprised. Nintendo barely talked about the battle mode before this game released, and for good reason. It is lazy. The courses themselves are really hit or miss. Some of them, like Big Donut, felt pretty decent, but from what I played, the entire top row here of courses, I didn't like a single one. They all felt really boring. But yeah, even moving beyond the tracks, if the battle mode courses were like the best battle mode courses ever, this would still be a lackluster battle mode. Balloon Battle is fine. It's not great. In my opinion, it's worse than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Balloon Battle. Coin Runners is just Coin Runners. I mean, I'll never play it again. I played it like once, and that was probably enough Coin Runners for my entire Mario Kart World life. But to be fair, I'm not a big Coin Runners fan in like any battle mode. However, it's ridiculous that we don't get anything else. Balloon Battle and Coin Runners, that's it? Are we serious? players, especially after coming off of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which introduced Renegade Roundup, which would be perfect as a 12v12 battle mode. I understand Nintendo probably has some data that says battle mode accounts for like less than 10% of like the total Mario Kart players' time, so it's not worth putting the development time into. I understand that, but I don't care. Again, they're charging 80 bucks for this game, and I'm disappointed by the battle mode. I think it's really, really bad. I genuinely cannot see myself playing this much, if at all. The modes themselves are kind of bad, the courses are pretty bad, the lack of new modes is bad, everything about the battle mode in this game is disappointing. Okay, well, I don't really want to end the video on that because that is a downer. Again, I don't want people to think that I do not like this game. I said it at the start of the video, but I'm sure, you know, I'm gonna get comments anyway. I think this is a great game. I just want to make that very clear. From what I have played so far, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm not gonna give it like a review score or anything because, well, we don't really do that here, and also it's like I have not played enough of the game to, you know, warrant a full review. But given this is an extensive first impressions video, I do want to end it by saying, hey, I really do enjoy this game. In fact, I'll even throw in an extra good thing. All the little details scattered throughout the main overworld. Like, apparently the buses have their own routes and like let off NPCs. Your character will start like dancing to the music if you stay idle for a bit. There are so many cute little details that really elevate this game to feeling like, oh yeah, okay, this is a Nintendo game. You know, they put the care into this, which is why it's so frustrating that specifically for stuff that I said in the ugly section, Nintendo just seems so reluctant to let players play the game the way they want to play. If I want to play a Grand Prix with my friends that is normal Mario Kart with 3-lap, 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 let me do that. If people want to join online lobbies that are only normal 3-lap Mario Kart courses, let them do that. Tournaments, 200cc. These are more than nitpicks. I'll admit, stuff like the character select screen, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. A lot of the stuff I've been talking about in this video, though, they're more than nitpicks. They're big, really disappointing things that are holding this game back from being even better, in my opinion, than it already is. I do think this is a great game, but it could be so much better with a couple of small tweaks and additions. Not only that, but said tweaks and additions seem like such no-brainers that it's so bizarre and straight up unacceptable that they're not already in the game at launch. Regardless, though, the game is a banger. Mario Kart World is a blast. I do genuinely recommend it for people. If somehow you have a Switch 2 and are watching this video but don't have Mario Kart World, I would recommend getting it. It's really fun. I just wanted to make this video to give you guys my full first thoughts and impressions, including the good, the bad, and the ugly of Mario Kart World. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. This was an absolute behemoth, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you guys for making it all the way to the end. With that out of the way, click the video on screen right now for more content. I'm Thomas from the Switch Top, signing off. Peace.